A nice night to be shooting the shit around the campfire.
The shooting. So by the time they arrived, the victim had been taken to the hospital. We didn't know he's in critical condition tonight. Police are working to figure out just what led up to the shooting. A Clayton County couple behind bars after a grand theft auto ring. According to the Clayton County Sheriff's Office, Jaden Anderson and Camille Pledger are accused of stealing a 2020 Kia Optima. Police say deputies spotted the vehicle last night at the AMC movie theater by South Lake Mall. Well, a few hours later, they spotted the suspects going into that car, and they placed them into custody. They face multiple charges as a result. Vice President Kamala Harris set to visit Georgia next week to talk about clean energy and the
apartment Thursday afternoon. Searchers, dive teams, and officers using drones spent days intensely searching for this boy after discovering his mother's body in their apartment earlier this week. Police say the boy's father, Thomas Mosley, faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, and it's still unknown if the child was dead before or after he was in the lake. That cause of death is still under investigation.
You feel helpless, and at the same time, you just know you have to do something. You can't not do anything.
They're collecting clothing items, toiletries, blankets, and any other essentials to help people start to get back on their feet.
We just started literally throwing clothes over the fence on her yard and, spreading the word of mouth on our street.
Residents say support like this means the world in a time of uncertainty.
Losing everything in one whop is... my son doesn't even have shoes, but my church, like I said, helped us out. So he left the apartment with flip-flops on, so it's kind of scary, but we know we have backing, and, we're blessed.
Fire officials have not yet said exactly what caused this fire. Neighbors have set up a GoFundMe account to help the residents who have been impacted. We've posted that link for you on our website, fox5atlanta.com.
High school.
Units responded to the 200 block of Third Hill Avenue in reference to a person shot. Upon arrival, units located a juvenile male shot on scene. He was subsequently transported to a local hospital where he's currently being treated. He's alert, conscious, and breathing at this time, being treated for his injuries.
Of course, we'll stay on top of this breaking news for you. We don't know the age as of yet. Police are asking for your help to track down the shooters. If you saw anything that can help in the investigation, contact Crime Stoppers. Of course, you can remain anonymous. All right, tonight's officers went undercover to stop people preying on children online. As News Edge reporter Kim Luffler found out, it's something that happens more often than you may think.
Child advocates say online exploitation is becoming more and more common, but there are things parents can do to keep their kids safe. According to the Alpharetta Police Department, these 5 men were taken into custody after detectives posed as children in online chat rooms during a 3-day sting in early December.
The purpose was to have conversations with adults who were looking to solicit and or entice underage children for sexual acts or indecent purposes.
It's one of the latest instances of a crime. Representatives with the child advocacy centers in Georgia say they see too often.
We had heard the statistic that 1 in 5 children will be approached online. What we found was it tended to be more along the lines of 50 to 70% of children were at least exposed to people offering inappropriate pictures, requesting pictures.
Advocates say many times kids will be reluctant to come forward if it's happening to them.
It is important to have very open conversations with children, that if they are approached, to please let the parent know, because it's not a matter of the child being disciplined or being in trouble if they're approached. It's a matter of who is safe for them to go to immediately.
And parents are encouraged to contact law enforcement right away if they feel their child is in danger.
Anything that we can do to identify and apprehend anyone that's attempting to victimize a child, we're going to take all the legal steps necessary to do so.
In the Alpharetta case, police say there are still 2 suspects at large, 26-year-old Taekwon Caldwell and 43-year-old Christopher Frazier. If you have any information on their whereabouts, you're asked to contact Alpharetta Police. Kim Luffler, Fox 5 News.
To eliminate benefits for those they determine are ineligible for Medicaid. Those states include Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, New Hampshire, and South Dakota. Another 14 states are expected to trim their rolls in May, while 20 more, along with the District of Columbia, may act in June. Medicaid advocates say they're concerned some states' quick action may result in mistakes, and those who are eligible will be wrongly terminated of their benefits. Turning now to Capitol Hill after a
Chips scored a big win on Friday. That's as Japan became the latest country to align itself with US technology trade controls. It announced it would restrict exports of 23 types of semiconductor manufacturing equipment. Japan said equipment makers would need to look for export permission for all regions, though it did not specify China as the target of the measures. Japanese Economy and Trade Minister Yasutoshi Nishimura said Japan wants to stop advanced tech being used for military purposes. The decision is seen as a major win for US President Joe Biden's administration. In October, it announced restrictions on China's access to US chip-making tech to slow its military and technological advances. Fellow chip technology heavyweight the Netherlands said earlier this month that it too would join the US in restricting exports. Japan's restrictions will be effective from July and cover 6 categories of equipment used in chip making. The country is a key producer of chip-related tech made by companies like Tokyo Electron and Nikon.
Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen left New York on Friday, headed for Central America. She departed the States with an award in hand, received the day before from the renowned think tank Hudson Institute. Hudson President and CEO John Walters made a statement at the Institute's evening event, saying Tsai has led a vibrant democracy with great courage and clear-eyed determination. That's to resist tyranny and maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific. Hudson's Global Leadership Award is presented to international leaders who make outstanding contributions to the world and demonstrate extraordinary moral courage. Tsai will stop in California on her way back from Central America to Taiwan. There, she's expected to meet with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Another battleground for China and Taiwan. On Friday, China's foreign ministry stated its opposition to Taiwan joining the CPTPP. It's an international free trade agreement based around the Pacific Rim.
Britain, on the other hand, agreed to join a trade pact the same day, seeking to build ties around the world after leaving the European Union. Entering the trade pact requires unanimous consent from all current members. In 2021, both China and Taiwan applied to join. For Taiwan to get in, the island must be accepted first in order to prevent China from voting it out. For decades, China has seen Taiwan as its own territory. Though the Communist Party has never ruled the island, the Chinese regime has a history of opposing the possibility of Taiwan forming its own diplomatic ties.
They predicted that COVID-19 will spread far faster than the flu in China, and that the next wave of the pandemic will hit the country in May and June this year.
China also plans to restart its COVID-19 testing with some changes. This time, it's not about mass testing all residents in a given city. Instead, health workers will perform random and spot checks at medical facilities in the country. Officials say their goal is to track incomplete and underreported COVID-19 data. That's amid the country's history of severely underreporting its health numbers. House Republicans are investigating the Biden administration for an alleged abuse of power. They say the White House suppressed information about COVID-19. Meanwhile, House Democrats say it's actually their GOP counterparts who are weaponizing the government. Let's dive in.
Did the government pressure social media to censor Americans for saying things like natural immunity is real? Absolutely. Did the government pressure social media to censor Americans for saying things like gain-of-function research happened in that lab in China? Absolutely.
The House Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government is probing a lawsuit by Louisiana and Missouri. The suit from May 2022 says the Biden administration colluded with social media giants Meta, Twitter, and YouTube to censor free speech in the name of combating so-called disinformation and misinformation. Missouri's former Attorney General Eric Schmidt was another witness. In his opening statement, he said Dr. Anthony Fauci knew that the Wuhan lab in China was conducting gain-of-function research.
But he sought to discredit and suppress the theory that COVID-19 leaked from a lab to deflect blame and avoid potential responsibility for the pandemic.
He and Louisiana's Attorney General left after their opening remarks. Some Democrats heavily criticized that because they couldn't examine the two.
They're not here to understand that. Be able to scurried away with your complicity. They refused
for a peaceful and stable South Korea. So this is the real concern. Moon Jae-in, as much of a leftist as he is, has surrounded himself with pro-North Korean elements as senior advisors. They openly talk about what their plan is, that once they have a peace treaty, they will kick out the Americans and they will welcome in unification on the peninsula. So this is something which is very clear. They've told us what they want to do.
I'm interested in the thought processes here in our country. It seems beyond this idea that just peace is a good thing, why don't we just try to promote peace, that the preponderance, if not virtually everybody who has lined up in the House of Representatives to co-sponsor this legislation are pretty radical leftists. They call themselves progressives, but it seems as though they're more Marxist in character. Do you think those people are being duped or used, at least, by these, South Korean leftists, for starters, but also perhaps as part of the larger Chinese Communist Party political warfare strategy, which, as we've talked about, involves, among other things, influence operations and information warfare, the United Front strategy to try to get stuff done that subverts our country and makes theirs stronger.
Yeah, I don't know the motivations of Brad Sherman, who sponsored the bill, and co-sponsors, but I am concerned because North Korea works very hard to promote its narratives in the United States. It's got a very well-financed influence operation, and HR 3446 is a part of what North Korea is trying to do. So whether they're duped or whether they are conspirators with the North Koreans doesn't matter, because the damage will be there regardless.
And I guess that's what's so worrying about this is if the Congress of the United States...
Reich number one. Hitler caused the Third Reich, the Third Empire, after the pattern of Charlemagne, who waded through seas of blood to conquer Europe. Is that good? Was that greatness? Well, that's what leaders today think. But we have another view on that, and a lot of other people do as well. But this empire, throughout its 6 heads, and the 7th one is rising before our eyes, and all of them have been destructive, and the 7th one is going to be more destructive than all of the other 6 if we don't listen to God. But God is telling us this good news and getting the message out there so we can see why God is wrathful toward the people called Israel today, biblical Israel. And if you don't understand that, well, our book on the United States and Britain in prophecy will explain that to you. A little further down, he said that Charlemagne was just practically worshipped by Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler was really fascinated and almost worshiping those crown jewels of Charlemagne that were at the time in an Austria museum. And Adolf Hitler moved into Austria in World War II and took the crown and all those jewels and said that this now made them the chosen people of God. No longer the Jews. The Jews betrayed Germany, according to Adolf Hitler, and now he took these jewels to Germany. He insisted that his early years in Vienna were absolutely crucial to his career because at that time I formed an image of the world and a view of life which became the foundation for my actions. I have had to change nothing. He hasn't had to change anything. This was a time in which the greatest change was ever to experience took place in me. Hitler talked about his commitment to anti-Semitism, and of course he killed 6 million Jews in World War II, but 60 million people died in World War II. It was a horrible crisis and a terrible sin, not a nation of greatness in that sense at all. So here we have, see those crown jewels, and that's all explained in my booklet on Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. But notice what Hitler said in 1938 at a rally in Nuremberg. Hitler had brought from Vienna, after 140 years, the insignia of the First Reich, the imperial crown, the orb of empire, the scepter, and the imperial sword. At the presentation of these symbols of imperialism, he solemnly vowed that they would remain in Nuremberg forever. And every time he spoke, when those jewels were there, they said he was more powerful than ever. What was happening in his mind? Well, he had a power that was not his own. I'll show you that if I have time to get to it. He had a power that was not his own, just like the last one's going to have. You can read that in Habakkuk 1 and verse 11 as well. A big change in the mind. Also, Isaiah 10, verses 7 through 10, I believe, is where it talks about another mind change as well. The crown jewels were almost worshipped by him. But notice what it says in Daniel 8 and verse 23. And in the latter time, see, Daniel is only for this latter time. Notice what is going to happen. Here is the man that's going to rule over that seventh Holy Roman Empire. Verse 23, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. This is the man that's going to hijack the Holy Roman Empire. And it's not going to work out like some other more noble people would like to see it happen. But that is what's going to happen. And
when the Tianhua Marching Band's music brings joy and elation to spectators in the wintry cold, many band members share the hope that one day their friends, neighbors, and relatives in China, and even the persecutors who held electric batons, can see this kind of parade scene. They hope their music and smiles will melt solid ice.
Presidential nomination, joining what could become a very competitive primary contest. Hutchinson ended his tenure as Arkansas's governor in early January. The GOP primary field is still in its early stages, with Trump announcing a third presidential campaign last year. And Nikki Haley, a former South Carolina governor, becoming his first major rival, announcing her bid back in February. A number of other Republicans, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Vice President Mike Pence, have also been making moves suggesting they could be running for president. The school showed images of Michelangelo's statue David to her 6th grade class. This here is the famous and historical piece of art in question. Some parents complained after the March 17th incident, saying they were upset the school didn't notify them ahead of time. The school's principal has also been fired over this incident, and now the Michigan-based college supplying their curriculum is revoking their license. A spokesperson for Hillsdale College says they made the decision due to a fallout surrounding the lesson. Hillsdale also says,
Life magazine. I haven't seen one of these things in a long time.